Introduction to Obtaining Military Technology System Through Time Travel. In this little-known ocean secret realm, there is a hidden island of blue star technology. This is not only the pinnacle of technology, but also the world's largest arms trading center, evoking endless imagination. Untitled Chapter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, I don't have it today. I can't write about coughing due to the flu. Chapter 1. Overseas Islands. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, this book is a parallel world. Please do not take it seriously if there are any similarities. In a parallel world, Su Chuan slowly opened his eyes on a beach on an isolated island overseas, looking around with a bewildered expression, feeling unusually unfamiliar with everything around him. Memories before the coma began to hit him, pounding his head in waves, causing him to feel a splitting headache. At the same time, he also began to recall what had happened before the coma. Su Chuan, who is only 20 years old this year, is an orphan. He has no father or mother since childhood and only has a 13-year-old sister to rely on. He just graduated from college and became a proud delivery worker. Unfortunately, when he was delivering food before falling into a coma, he passed by a traffic light and was hit by a sudden mud truck that sent him to the sky. When there is more memory, it appears in this unfamiliar place now. Su Chuan, who had regained his senses, slowly stood up from the beach and looked around. Surrounding this deserted island, the sea is clear and clear, with soft white beaches scattered all around. In the vast sea, this deserted island appears particularly lonely. Surrounded by vast sea water and towering cliffs, the deserted island is surrounded by rippling waters, swaying trees, and dense jungle, leaving people feeling endless mystery and unknown. The seagulls on the island occasionally fly by, and the trees and shrubs sway with the wind. The waves fiercely beat against the reefs on the shore. The seawater around the deserted island is blue and clear, and the clouds in the distance appear particularly bright. This deserted island seems to have been forgotten on the edge of the sea, surrounded by nothing but the ocean and sky. Surrounded by steep mountains and blue oceans, the environment is extremely primitive and wild. Just as Su Chuan was immersed in the blue sea and sky, an electronic sound system came to his mind. Ding, binding military technology systems. Su Chuan looked around in shock and shouted loudly, "Who?" At this moment, the electronic sound rang out again in Su Chuan's mind. Ding, successfully bound military technology system. At this moment, Su Chuan realized that this was the necessary dog system for the traveler. Su Chuan was pleasantly surprised and took it for granted. After all, we are travelers and it's normal for us to cheat. Su Chuan quickly called in his mind, "What functions do you have in the dog system?" Ding, the dog host. "Your newbie gift package is gone." Su Chuan was shocked and went to System Dad, "Don't do it," and quickly smiled and said, "System Dad, what functions do you have?" Ding, please explore on your own. Su Chuan a light curtain slowly condensed in Su Chuan's mind as the system opened the property panel. Name. Su Chuan. Height. 178 centimeters. Weight. 65 kilograms. Physical fitness. 7-10 for the general population. Strength. 6 for ordinary people. 10 agility. 7 ordinary people. 10 spirit. 15 ordinary people. 10 intelligence. 13 ordinary people. 10 physical condition. Normal. Su Chuan saw that his spiritual power was different from that of ordinary people, so he asked the system, "Why is it that my spiritual power and intelligence are so much higher than ordinary people, Tongzi? Am I a genius?" The system impatiently said, "When binding this system, it has been strengthened a bit to prevent you from experiencing mental breakdown. And intelligence is influenced by the divine power of fertilization and increases accordingly." Su Chuan continued to look down. Mathematics. LV0 plus, 3/100, Physics. LV0 plus, 5/100, Biochemistry. LV0+, 0/100, Informatics. LV0+, 0/100, Materials Science. LV0+, 0/100, Engineering. LV0+, 0/100, Newcomer Gift Package. 1. Whether to enable, yes/no. Su Chuan's thoughts twitched and he went to the book garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com, yes/no, to open the beginner's gift package. Su Chuan decisively chose, yes, ding, congratulations to the host for opening the beginner gift package and obtaining it. Military Industry Factory, Junior, complete collection of primary weapon blueprints, cash. 100,000,000 RMB manufacturing value. 1,000 points. Please host and select the construction site of the military factory as soon as possible. Countdown to 30 minutes. Suddenly, a topographic map of the entire island appeared in Su Chuan's mind. It took Su Chuan more than 10 minutes to determine it was on an open land in the southwest of the island. Ding, yes/no, it was confirmed that a military factory would be established at that location, and Su Chuan did not hesitate to click, confirm. Just as Su Chuan clicked on the designated spot, a factory suddenly appeared in the open space. And Su Chuan was stunned. Su Chuan was stunned as he looked at the military factory standing tall on the plain in front of him. The entire building is filled with a steel beast wind, and the silver-gray exterior walls, combined with the towering top of the building, exude a sense of majesty everywhere. Su Chuan swallowed his saliva. Good guy, he knows what a good guy is. There were 4 fully armed soldiers standing guard at the gate, and when Su Chuan's gaze fell on the factory gate, a text came to his mind, primary military factory. 60 combat personnel, production workers. 300 people, research personnel. 20 people, management personnel. 5 people, the personnel in the factory are 100% loyal to the host, never betray. 5 ordinary production lines can only produce ordinary firearms, etc. Tank production line. 2-inch missile production lines. 2-inch. Chapter 2. Arsenal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After reading the introduction, Su Chuan looked at the soldier in front of him and felt Su Chuan's gaze. The 4 soldiers shouted in unison, "Hello General Su." Su Chuan nodded and lifted his legs as he walked towards the factory. Factory buildings are scattered and orderly, surrounded by walls that are more than 10 meters high. The 4 corners of the walls are 4 watchtowers. There are 2 M61A1 Vulcan machine guns and 2 Gatling M134 heavy machine guns on each watchtower. The M61A1 is a type of aircraft gun developed by General Dynamics, which uses a 20mm caliber Gatling 6-dot barrel gun and can fire 6,000 standard M50 rounds per minute. It is widely equipped in active U.S. fighter jets, with high firing rate and good reliability. The M134 Gatling machine gun is a 6-barrel rotating machine gun manufactured in the United States. It uses an electric motor to drive the barrel and bolt, and can achieve a high firing rate of 2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute. Its caliber is 7.62 mm and it is fed with NATO standard ammunition chains. Its weight is 39 kilograms, length is 80 centimeters, and barrel length is 56 centimeters. Its maximum range is 1,000 meters, and its effective range is 600 meters. Its characteristics are strong firepower and high reliability. Su Chuan walked into the military factory in a daze. As soon as he entered the factory, he saw several fully armed soldiers patrolling. When he saw Su Chuan again, these soldiers immediately stopped and raised their hands to salute, shouting, "General Su." The people of Sichuan who were shouted by General Su were all tingling and numb. Su Chuan, who was tingling all over, had just walked into the factory gate when it opened on its own. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a Chinese character walked out of the factory and approached Su Chuan. "General Su, My name is Li Peng and I am the general manager of this military factory. Su Chuan looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and was very satisfied. He then spoke up and said, "Let's call me Mr. Su." "Yes, Mr. Su," and Li Peng immediately spoke up. Su Chuan looked at Li Peng in front of him and asked, "What is the current situation in the factory?" Li Pengdang answered, "Mr. Su, now the factory is resting because there is no top order, and there are not many raw materials in the factory." After listening to what Li Peng said, Su Chuan hesitated and immediately spoke up to make a list of the necessary raw materials for me as soon as possible. "It's Mr. Su. Mr. Su, I'll take you to your office." Su Chuan nodded slightly. Li Peng brought Su Chuan to his office and left. Su Chuan sat alone in the boss's chair and couldn't wait to start researching the system. Su Chuan. "What functions do you have in the system?" "Ding, please allow the host to explore on their own." Su Chuan immediately opened the system panel and carefully pondered it over. I saw a shopping cart icon flickering in the bottom left corner of the system panel, and Su Chuan immediately poked it with his mind, popping up an interface similar to Pinksy Shi. There is a dazzling array of things inside, including airplanes, cannons, missiles, and nuclear bombs. What impressed Su Chuan the most was the spaceship on the top, but seeing the price made him lose heart. A spaceship costs 100 billion yuan in manufacturing value. Su Chuan temporarily gave up looking at unrealistic things, and then he bought a mobile phone first. After all, he didn't have the communication tools in this world yet. The first time Su Chuan received his phone was to search for where the war needed weapons. After all, with a military factory and hundreds of workers to support, the 10 million yuan given by the system won't last long. Suddenly, he saw a report on Twitter. Iraq, the cartel armed group launched a terrorist attack on the U.S. military and military bases, and General MacArthur of the 5 Stars spoke, saying that this was an act of killing. Chapter 3. System Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Continuing to browse Twitter, Su Chuan suddenly heard an electronic sound in his mind. Ding. System task release. Received the first order from the military factory, rewarded with C.5 Galaxy Transport Aircraft X3, Transport Ship X5, manufacturing value plus 3,000, yes/no, accept task. Looking at the tasks appearing on the system panel in front of him, Su Chuan didn't choose them immediately. Su Chuan first spoke up to ask the system, "Can we get the phone number of the head of the system cartel organization?" System. "Yes, but the host needs to pay 10 manufacturing points. How much manufacturing value do I have now?" 1,000 points. "Okay. Give me the phone number to redeem now." "Okay, please wait for the host." Iraq. The border between Iraq and Saudi Arabia, near Laffa on the endless edge of the desert, several yellow buildings stand tall in the sand and dust. This is the headquarters of the cartel armed group that has just caused a huge uproar on the internet. At this moment, among these yellow buildings, a middle-aged man wearing a white robe with a big beard was looking worried. He is the current leader of the cartel armed group, named Hadib Hafez. He is pondering how to face retaliation from the Eagle Sauce side next. The cartel armed group is an armed organization with tens of thousands of people, and as the leader of the cartel armed group, every decision he makes is closely related to the lives of tens of thousands of people under his command. Report, General Hadib. At this moment, his personal guard pushed open the door. Raise your hand and salute. Hadib Hafez didn't look up and just nodded. What's going on? General Hadib, just now Eagle Sauce announced sanctions against our cartel armed group. Also, just now Eagle Sauce defined our cartel armed group as a terrorist organization, and their military bases were targeted by terrorist attacks. And General MacArthur of Eagle Sauce 5 Star also said, Eagle Sauce will provide weapon support to the Iraqi government, help the Iraqi government eliminate terrorist organizations, and restore the beauty and peace of Iraq. Subsequently, the Iraqi government issued an arms embargo on Iraq. Hadib Hafez's eyes twitched, filled with helplessness and resentment, and he cursed loudly, saying that if it weren't for these unlucky people, Iraq wouldn't have been so chaotic. He knew how serious the consequences of this news could be, and he also knew that once Eagle Sauce imposed sanctions on them, the days ahead for their cartel armed groups would not be easy. After all, the Iraqi government forces have weapon support, and their cartels do not. I know, Hatib Hafez took a deep breath. The guards did not leave, but hesitated for a while before speaking up. General Hatib, Mao Xiong. Mao Xiong has cancelled our military cooperation. Currently, Eagle Sauce is secretly watching us, and their representatives believe that selling our weapons now is not a wise choice. How long can our weapons last? Hatib Hafez asked. The guard spoke up and said, General, we currently have a total of 130,000 rounds of various types of bullets. Rifles with bullets can basically fight a 48-hour battle, with over 2,000 remaining shells and rockets of various types. Cannons can sustain a major battle for up to 12 hours at most. If we cannot find the supply of weapons as soon as possible, we may not have to wait for Eagle Sauce's weapons to support us, and we may be annihilated by the Iraqi government army. Chapter 4. Mission completed, Swordtooth Tiger Main Battle Tank. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After hearing the words of the guards, Hatib Hafez frowned and his face was filled with solemnity. Weapons and equipment are a necessary force for them to confront the Iraqi government army. In today's world of hot weapons, if there is no conflict between hot weapons and others, it is like lighting a light in the toilet and looking for feces, death. Previously, their cooperation with Mao Xiong was relatively good. Although it was not a trade on the table, both sides secretly facilitated many satisfying transactions. But now that Eagle Sauce is targeting them and providing weapons and equipment support to the Iraqi government army, it can be seen that Eagle Sauce is preparing to eliminate their cartel in one fell swoop. In this situation, without weapons, one can only wait to die. Now that our cooperation with the bear has ended, where do we buy a large number of weapons from? Is it difficult to buy Eagle Sauce? Only when the bald eagle goes crazy will it be sold to them. Alright, you go down first. I'll figure out a way to deal with weapons, said Hatib Hafez, waving his hand and sending the guards out. Sitting in the chair, Hatib Hafez rubbed his tightly furrowed forehead. He only felt that the situation of putting it down needed to be resolved as soon as possible, otherwise, the cartel would really be ruined. Ding-ling-ling, at this moment, the satellite phone on his desk rang. Hatib Hafez frowned, hesitated for a moment, then picked up the satellite phone and said coldly, Hello. Hello General Hatib Hafez, I am the owner of Penglai Military Industry Factory. I heard that you are in short supply of a large amount of weapons and equipment. A hint of vigilance flashed in Hatib Hafez's eyes. Arms dealers. After listening to what was said on the other side, Hatib Hafez said, Since you know we urgently need a large number of weapons, you should also know why. Aren't you afraid of Eagle Sauce's retaliation, and now Iraq is an arms embargo country? On the other end of the phone, Su Chuan heard the other person say that the Dragon King had returned to his position with a crooked mouth, and he said, Afraid. I dare to buy what the 5 hooligans dare to buy, and I dare to sell what the 5 hooligans dare not sell. 50% deposit, is it clear enough to settle the final payment upon delivery? Hatib Hafez was stunned on the other end of the phone, he was too crazy to step on his horse. Hatib Hafez was momentarily stunned before speaking, Then give me 5,000 automatic rifles, 300,000 bullets, and 5,000 grenades first. Su Chuan exclaimed with joy, the market price for automatic rifles is $500 per unit, $2,500,000 for 5,000 units, $7 per bullet, $2,100,000 for 300,000 units, $300 per grenade, and $1,500,000 for 5,000 units. A total of $610,000 US dollars, pay half of the deposit of $305,000 US dollars first, and send me the shipping address to deliver it to you in 10 days. Hatib Hafez's pupils dilated after listening and said, Great, give me an account and I'll transfer the deposit to you. After about a minute, Su Chuan's phone displayed, "Your bank account ending in 2333 has transferred $3,050,000. General Hatib, have a pleasant cooperation." Happy cooperation. Arsenal. Su Chuan looked at his bank account and saw an extra $3.05 million. When the remitter was Hatib Hafez, he became excited. Pretty. The successful deception of the cartel armed group to receive a deposit indicates that this order has been considered successful, and the system mission should also be completed. Just as Su Chuan was thinking this way. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the system task. Reward: C.5 Galaxy Transport Aircraft X3, Transport Ship X5, Manufacturing Value plus 3,000. Due to the host completing the task for the first time, there is an additional reward. Swordtooth Tiger Main Battle Tank Manufacturing Blueprint. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Su Chuan saw unexpected joy and quickly checked. The main battle of the Swordtooth Tiger weighs 75.15 tons, with a maximum road speed of 125 km per hour and a maximum travel of 850 km. It is equipped with a 125mm smoothbore gun and a TPV 14.7 mm heavy machine gun, and is equipped with a tail-fin stabilized armor-piercing shell and multi-purpose ammunition. The ammunition base is 62 rounds, and the engine only uses an 8-16-cylinder opposed water-cooled turbocharged diesel engine, with a maximum output of 4,600 torque. After reading it, Su Chuan took a breath of air and said, "It's too impressive. It's 5 years ahead of the world." After reading the system reward, Su Chuan called Li Peng over. After Li Peng arrived, Su Chuan said, "I just received an order. Please see how long it will take to produce it." Li Peng took the A.test paper from Su Chuan's hand and looked at it. After reading it, Li Peng pondered for a moment before speaking up. "Mr. Su, it will take about 5 days, Su Chuan said after listening. "We must ensure the quality. This is our first order and we cannot damage the reputation of our arms factory." After listening, Li Peng said, "Okay, Mr. Su. You go ahead and get busy." Just as Li Peng was about to leave, he transferred to Su Chuan and said, "Where can I get Su's production materials?" Su Chuan heard it and said, "You go down first, I'll solve it." After Li Peng left, Su Chuan opened the system mall and found the necessary materials for manufacturing. After seeing the price, Su Chuan was quite satisfied. The materials in the system mall are generally about half cheaper than the market price, and can also be purchased in real currency, which is really delicious. After selling out enough materials and daily necessities for the military factory to operate at full capacity for 6 months at once, Su Chuan began to wander around the military factory. Chapter 5. Completion of Weapon and Equipment Production. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Huaxia. In an uninhabited area filled with deserts, there is an unknown massive base 200 meters underground. At this moment, a group of people were anxiously waiting in the underground base. Just then, a young man burst open the door and rushed in, speaking to the elderly man with white hair who was leading the way. Academician Feng's J.45 wind tunnel has been successfully completed. Here are the experimental data, and a burst of cheers echoed throughout the hall. Feng Yewei was also extremely excited upon hearing that the J.45 was the latest pseudo 6th-generation aircraft researched by China. Although it did not meet the standards of the 6th-generation aircraft, it was more than just a little stronger than the 5th and 5th-half generations. Is Academician Feng going to conduct his first test flight next? Feng Yewei smiled and said, "I'll tell my superiors the good news first, and by the way, I'll ask." Just as China was delighted to see the J.45 successfully pass the wind tunnel test. Arsenal. The door of Su Chuan's office was suddenly knocked on, and Li Peng pushed the door in and said to Su Chuan, "Mr. Su's order for the cartel armed group has been completed. Would you like to take a look?" Upon hearing this, Su Chuan immediately became interested and said, "Let's take me to see." Su Chuan's past life was just an ordinary person. Where did he have the opportunity to encounter real guns? Follow Li Peng to the shooting range and take the gun from the guard's phone. Su Chuan produced the AK fully automatic assault rifle for Hatib Hafez, which is most suitable for the Iraqi environment and is sturdy and durable. Su Chuan took the gun and learned from the popular science video he had seen in his past life in a short video. He pulled the bolt, loaded the gun, and pulled the trigger, firing bullets like raindrops towards the target ahead. After finishing a shot, Su Chuan was still unsatisfied. After all, firearms are a man's romance. Unfortunately, no matter how much he was unsatisfied, Su Chuan still handed the gun to the guard on the side. After all, Su Chuan was a novice who had never touched a gun before. A round of bullets shook Su Chuan, causing his hands to numb and his shoulders to ache faintly. At this moment, Su Chuan looked at Li Peng beside him and said, "Arrange to send weapons and equipment to the cartel armed group as soon as possible." Li Peng heard what Su Chuan said and said, "Mr. Su, should we air or sea freight?" "Let's air transport it. Iraq is currently an arms embargo country. It's a bit difficult to transport it in by sea." Li Peng nodded and said, "I'll arrange it now." After Li Peng left, Su Chuan strolled back to his office alone and sat in the boss's chair. Su Chuan picked up his phone and called Hatib Hafez. On the other side, while Hatib Hafez was feeling anxious due to a shortage of weapons and equipment, the satellite phone on the table tinkled. "Hello, Mr. Hatib Hafez, good afternoon." Su Chuan's voice came from the earpiece, indicating that he was in a good mood from his tone. Hatib Hafez was taken aback by the sound before remembering who it was. "What's the matter with Mr. Su looking for me?" On the other end of the phone, Su Chuan spoke up and said, "Mr. Hatib Hafez, the weapons and equipment you ordered from me have already been produced. When would be convenient for me to send someone to deliver it to you?" Hatib Hafez is delighted to hear that he has been worried about running out of weapons and ammunition recently. Su Chuan has already produced them and can deliver them at any time. "I have time at any time," Su Chuan said after listening to what the other person was saying. "Tomorrow afternoon at 3:00 p.m., I will receive weapons and equipment at the location you provided." Upon hearing this, Hatib Hafez quickly nodded and replied, "Okay, Mr. Su." Chapter 6. Order Completion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Iraq. At the border between Iraq and Saudi Arabia, a group of fully armed personnel are standing on an open field on a plain. From a distance, there are at least 500 people and several tanks and armored vehicles. At this moment, Hatib Hafez asked the guard next to him, "What time is it?" Upon hearing this, the guard looked at a mobile phone and saluted, saying, "General, it's 2:40 p.m. now." Although it was not yet time, Hatib Hafez looked into the distance without a car. Perhaps the other party was a scammer, and in fact, they didn't have any weapons, he muttered to himself. The subordinate on the side heard it and said, "Since the other party is a scammer, why do they still want us to wait here? So it's probably not possible that the other side was delayed by something." Upon hearing this, Hatib Hafez nodded and felt that what his subordinates were saying made some sense, so he stopped speaking. Just as Hatib Hafez was lost in thought, 3 small black dots appeared on the distant horizon and grew larger and larger. Hatib Hafez picked up a telescope and only realized it was 3 transport planes. He immediately shouted, "Hidden, there's a plane coming towards us." Just as Hatib Hafez's side was in chaos, his satellite phone rang. Hatib Hafez picked up the phone and connected. A young and magnetic voice came from across the street, "Please accept your goods when they arrive, and remember to call the final payment, otherwise you will regret it." The other person finished speaking and hung up. At this moment, the 3 transport planes flew over from a height of 50 meters in front of them, and a pile of small black spots fell from the tail of the transport planes. As the black dot approached the ground, a large area of parachutes opened up in the sky one after another, waiting for something to land. Hatib Hafez said to a subordinate beside him, "Go and see what it is." The guard reluctantly walked over and, seeing that there was no danger, boldly pulled open the parachute and saw the wooden box under it. There is also a logo above and a small line below that catches the eye. Penglai Military Industry Factory. The guard hesitated for a moment and used a dagger from his waist to pry open the box, only to see a bunch of shiny new AK-46s inside. The guards quickly turned around and shouted to Hatib Hafez, "The general is a weapon and equipment." Hatib Hafez asked his subordinate next to him, "What did he shout for?" The subordinate heard it and said, "General, he said it's weapons and equipment." Upon hearing what his subordinates were saying, Hatib Hafez immediately remembered Su Chuan's phone call and realized what was going on. Then he loudly said to his subordinates behind him that these were the weapons and equipment I had purchased. "Go and get them in the car, and it won't be good when the government army's plane arrives." "Yes, General." After returning to his lair, Hatib Hafez inspected the weapons and equipment you sent to him by Su Chuan and personally tried them out, feeling very satisfied. After counting and confirming the correct quantity, Hatib Hafez sent the final payment to Su Chuan. Later, I called Su Chuan again and said, "Hello, Mr. Su has sent you the final payment. Have you seen it?" Su Chuan lay on the boss's chair like a salted fish, drinking tea and scrolling through the screen. "This clothes are really big, this phone is really white." Just as he was in a good situation, his phone ding-ding startled him. Su Chuan looked at the screen of his phone, which was prominently written with a big beard, Hatib Hafez. Upon seeing a call from Hatib Hafez, Su Chuan immediately pressed the answer button. Chapter 7. New Orders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, "Hello, what's up with Mr. Hatib Hafez?" Hatib Hafez's hearty laughter echoed through the receiver of his phone. "I am very satisfied with the batch of weapons you sent, Mr. Su. Our cartel armed group is preparing to order another batch of heavy weapons and equipment from you." Su Chuan pondered for a moment and said, "Our arms factory has just started production, so some weapons are currently unavailable." "What weapons and equipment can you produce on your end now?" said Hatib Hafez in a disappointed tone after Su Chuan called Li Peng to inquire about the specific situation of the military factory. He spoke to Hatib Hafez. "What we can currently produce here are ordinary light weapons, mortars, and heavy artillery. And there's also the newly developed Swordtooth Tiger main battle tank from our military factory." Hatib Hafez was overjoyed to hear of a main battle tank and couldn't wait to say, "Mr. Su, how did you buy your main battle tank?" "Mr. Hatib, due to the fact that this main battle tank has just been developed, the production cycle is relatively long. As for the price, it's $7 million. As far as I know, our main battle tank has the highest performance in the world, surpassing the Leopard 2A7A1 main battle tank. If you need it, I can arrange to ship it to you as soon as possible." After listening to Su Chuan's words, Hatib Hafez felt lost in thought. To be honest, $7 million per tank is not cheap for their cartel armed group either. Su Chuan waited for about 3 minutes on the other end of the phone before hearing Hatib Hafez speak up. "Okay, Mr. Su, I'll order 3 tanks to try them out first. If that's true as you said, we'll place a large order. Also, our cartel armed group is preparing to reorder 10,000 automatic assault rifles, 1 million bullets, 6,155 mm howitzers, 5,155 mm howitzers, 500 individual rocket launchers and 5,000 ammunition. Mr. Su, please take a look at how much these are in total." Mr. Su picked up the calculator next to him and pressed it with a snap. According to the dog author's search on Baidu for a 155 mm howitzer worth $30,000, it's not excessive to charge him $100,000. A 155 mm howitzer would cost him $5,000. Other dog authors would be lazy to keep it up, and tanks would charge him $70 million. After calculating the specific price, Su Chuan told Hatib Hafez the price and said, as usual, half of the deposit is required. As we need to produce tanks, we will still deliver them to the previous location 1 month later. Do you think it's okay? Okay, I'll call you the deposit later, Hatib Hafez said before hanging up the phone. After Hatib Hafez hung up the phone, Su Chuan called Li Peng and said, please come in. Mr. Li, what can I do for you? Su Chuan handed over the A.test paper on the table and said, this is an order just placed by the cartel armed group. Please arrange production as soon as possible. Su Chuan took out the manufacturing drawings of the Swordtooth Tiger main battle tank, which received additional rewards for completing the system task last time, from the system space and spoke up. Can you see if we can produce it? After reading the blueprint, Li Peng was shocked to hear that the Tianren main battle tank was even stronger than the world's strongest main battle tank by one section and answered Su Chuandao, Mr. Su is completely fine. No problem, just go ahead and get busy. Okay, Mr. Su. Sitting behind the table, Su Chuan fell into contemplation as he watched Li Peng's excitement fade away. Now their arsenal's weapon categories are still a bit limited. Moreover, the high-end weapons and equipment are only available for the main battle tank of the Swordtooth Tiger, so we must come up with a solution. Su Chuan accidentally opened the system and saw his knowledge attributes mathematics. LV0 plus, 3/100, physics. LV0 plus, 5/100, biochemistry. LV0 plus, 0/100, informatics. LV0 plus, 0/100, materials science. LV0 plus, 0/100, engineering. LV0 plus, 0/100, Su Chuan tried to click on the plus sign behind mathematics with his mind, only to see a faint light flash past and a wave of knowledge flood into his mind. The mathematics section of the system panel has also changed, and the manufacturing value has decreased by 97 points. Mathematics. LV1 plus, 0/1000, manufacturing value. 8803 points. Due to the production of a batch of weapons and equipment for the cartel armed group, the manufacturing value has also increased by 50 points. After this series, he understood that the dog system wanted him to become a research expert. Su Chuan felt the newly emerging knowledge in his mind and evaluated himself to be roughly equivalent to the level of just entering university. Su Chuan was curious about upgrading his knowledge online, so he further advanced his mathematics. Mathematics. LV2, plus 0/10,000, another wave of information flooded into my mind, this time equivalent to the level of a first-time graduate student. Su Chuan gave up on the manufacturing value required to upgrade mathematics and turned to other disciplines. After calculating the remaining manufacturing value, he was able to upgrade other disciplines by 2 levels without any reason. Just as the system panel lit up, a huge flow of information flooded into Su Chuan's mind. Su Chuan collapsed from the chair onto the carpet, with veins visible around his neck and blood vessels crawling all over his body like centipedes. It took about an hour for Su Chuan to get up from the ground, sweating profusely all over his body. Recalling this 1-hour experience was even more painful than death. Su Chuan stumbled up and sat in a chair before he had time to ask the system, what's going on with the system? Ding. Due to the host upgrading too many disciplines at once, and the brain's development level cannot withstand it, the system's protective mechanism was triggered, and the use of manufacturing value strengthened a wave for the host. After listening to what the system said, Su Chuan tidied up his mood and looked back at the system panel. Looking at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, he saw that the system panel had undergone significant changes. Height: 180 centimeters. Weight: 69 kilograms. Physical fitness: 8-10 for the general population. Strength: 7 for ordinary people. 10 agility. 8 ordinary people. 10 spirit. 19 ordinary people. 10 intelligence. 20 ordinary people. 10 physical condition. Normal. I increased my height by 2 centimeters and successfully entered 1.8 meters. I also increased my physical strength and agility by 1 point, my mental state by 4 points, and my intelligence by 7 points, which is twice that of an ordinary person. Su Chuan carefully felt the condition of his body, feeling much more relaxed and powerful than before. He opened his clothes and placed a faint outline of abdominal muscles on his stomach. My thinking is more than twice as fast as before. Su Chuan continued to look at the system panel. Mathematics. LV2 plus, 0/10,000, Physics. LV2 plus, 0/10,000, Biochemistry. LV2 plus, 0/10,000, Informatics. LV2 plus, 0/10,000, Materials Science. LV2 plus, 0/10,000, Engineering. LV2 plus, 0/10,000, Manufacturing Value. 308 points. When Su Chuan saw the column of manufacturing value, his heart was almost in pain. He could have left more than 3,000 after upgrading all subjects, but because he wanted to save time, he upgraded all subjects twice at once, resulting in a loss of 3,000 manufacturing value. Su Chuan's heart is like pulling out the cold. He has created so many weapons for Hatib Hafez, and there is one weapon that has a relatively high manufacturing value, with a bonus of only 5,000 points. Can he not feel heartbroken if he only kills 3,000 points in one go? Chapter 8. The Focus of Eagle Sauce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Just as Su Chuan was still concerned about his manufacturing value, Iraq Government Army Command, the Chief of the General Staff of the Iraqi Government Army, who had just commanded a battle, said in confusion, "It shouldn't have happened." According to reason, the weapons and ammunition of the cartel armed groups should have been fought long ago. Today's battle revealed that they don't have a sense of urgency about ammunition shortage. At this moment, the Deputy Chief of Staff next to him spoke up. Could it be that the bears are still providing them with weapons and equipment? Impossible. There is news from Eagle Sauce that currently no known country or arms dealer in the world can provide weapons and equipment for the cartel armed groups. Could it be that the Dragon Kingdom took action? It's unlikely. If the Dragon Kingdom secretly takes action, Eagle Sauce wouldn't be unaware. Who could that be? Just as the Iraqi government was puzzled by the situation. Eagle Sauce CIA Headquarters. CIA Southwest Asia Director John Thompson pushed the door and walked into a room filled with computers. He looked at a young intelligence officer and asked, "Can you identify which faction the transport planes that appeared in Iraq a few days ago belonged to?" Upon hearing the man's voice, a young foreigner lifted his head and said, "The boss couldn't even detect it." The monitored transport plane disappeared completely after leaving the land and entering the sea. John Thompson angrily said to everyone in the room, "This operation against the cartel armed group is to deter some people and let them know that our Eagle Sauce is still the world's #1. But now there are organizations who are afraid to ignore us for providing weapons and equipment to the cartel armed groups. If you give me a week, I must find him." For a moment, everyone in the room remained silent and spoke in unison, "Yes." And now Su Chuan from the arsenal is browsing his Weibo, when suddenly he has a sudden idea to post Weibo and leave his footprints in this parallel world, while pretending to be 13. Su Chuan first wandered around the military factory with those phones and filmed some materials, and then had someone arrange for a transport plane to fly around in the sky. Upon returning to the office, Su Chuan began editing and posted it on Weibo. Just half a day after Su Chuan released the video. Dragon Country, a video on Weibo has become popular, with a title of "Welcome to Penglai Military Industry Factory." The video screen first features a huge factory building, followed by a warehouse full of weapons and equipment. The perspective changes as a young man sits on a transport plane with open doors, legs suspended and leaving the cabin. Under his feet is a vast sea, holding red wine and drinking alone. The netizens who saw this video were all fried. Fuck me, fuck me, fuck this. Is this any military factory not afraid of leaking secrets? Pinnacle Military Industry Factory, I haven't heard of it before. And another netizen, you've heard so much about it, and the ones in the row below, worshipping the big boss, just buy when the internet is boiling, the Network Information Security Department under the National Security Bureau of Longwa. Zhang Tao is a regulatory officer of Longwa's cybersecurity department. On this day, as usual, he opened his computer to check the videos compiled by his subordinates that may have violated regulations. When he was bored, he saw the Weibo post posted by Su Chuan. Suddenly, he thought it was leaked from a certain military factory in China. Zhang Tao immediately grabbed his laptop and rushed to his superiors at a speed of 100 meters. Minister Su, you are watching this video. Upon hearing this, Su Kong looked at the laptop screen and saw that the Weibo post posted by Su Chuan was playing on it. Minister Su, did you think this video was leaked? Do you need to take it down first? Su Kong nodded and said, let's take it down first, and then notify the technical team to track down the IP address of this account. Just as the Longwa Network Information Security Department was searching for Su Chuan's IP address. A military factory. Su Chuanjing happily scrolled through the comments below his Weibo account. Hahaha, this group of netizens is so talented. Just as Su Chuan was watching with great enthusiasm, his phone pulled out a day-long reminder that the video you posted was suspected of violating regulations and has been taken down. Su Chuan was stunned when he saw this. Why did the Fox and others just send it and it's okay? I just sent it and it was taken off the shelves for me. Su Chuan suddenly became angry from the bottom of his heart, and evil intent grew on him. Su Chuan opened his phone and operated it repeatedly. I saw another video on Weibo that Su Chuan had just posted. The phone Su Chuan bought in the system was a black technology, and not only could the IP address of the phone not be found, but also any information sent by the phone could not be deleted, except for Su Chuan himself. However, Zhang Tao, from the Longwa Network Information Security Department, immediately reported to Su Kong when he saw the video he had taken off and uploaded reappearing on the internet. Minister Su, that account has re-sent the video we just removed from the shelves, Su Kong said upon hearing this and then removed it. Zhang Tao operated the computer according to Su Kang's words and clicked to remove it, but after clicking several times, there was no response. Zhang Tao thought the computer was stuck, and in this scene, Su Kong also saw that he had the same thoughts as Zhang Tao, so he opened his computer and the same situation occurred as Zhang Tao. At this moment, the technical team called and said, there's something wrong with the account you're asking to track the IP address for. It can only be found to be overseas, and its IP address is constantly changing. We suspect that a top-level hacker team is hiding it. Chapter 9. Sudden System Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Meanwhile, Su Chuan from the arsenal was a prompt message pulled out of the online world from another system. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the order for the first time and receiving hidden rewards, obtained. Production drawings of the first-generation Phoenix fighter jet, reward for ensuring the personal safety of the host. 90 members of the Dragon Special Forces. At the moment when Su Chuan saw the system prompt, his mind was in a daze. Completing the order and receiving rewards was something he never expected. He tidied up his mood and first looked at the first reward, the first-generation Phoenix fighter jet. Just as he had this idea, a pile of information appeared in front of him. The first-generation Phoenix fighter. With a length of 25.8 meters, a wingspan of 14.2 meters, an empty weight of 25.4 tons, a standard mission weight of 49 tons, and a maximum takeoff weight of 55 tons, cruise speed of 3.6 Mach, maximum speed of 6.8 Mach, currently not supported for extra-atmospheric combat. Variable wing, double vertical tails with outward tilt, controllable contraction, maximum contraction wingspan of 13.6 meters. This is Su Chuan's first reaction after reading the introduction of the Phoenix fighter jet. It's really powerful. It's more than twice as advanced as the world's most powerful fighter jet. After reading the introduction of the second reward, Su Chuan's gaze shifted downwards. The Dragon Group is a top special forces unit from the novel world of China, consisting of 9 small teams, each consisting of 9 people. Every member of the Dragon Group has broken the limits of the human body and exceeded the realm of humans, and each team of the Dragon Group can defeat enemies hundreds or thousands of times their own. For example, against the world-renowned SEAL Assault Team and Cavalry Special Forces, the Dragon Team can manipulate them at will. Seeing this, Su Chuan was already extremely excited. It was a Dragon Group, and the Dragon Group rewarded by the system only obeyed him and never betrayed him. With the 2 trump cards of Luan Bird and Dragon Group, Su Chuan can be said to have stood invincible in this world. Excited, Su Chuan suddenly came up with an idea. Damn it, I must pretend to be forced. Su Chuan first walked out of the office and arrived at an open space in the military factory. He opened the system panel and clicked on the Dragon Group to select Summon. Suddenly, 90 more people appeared on the ground, and Su Chuan saw at a glance that the members of the Dragon Group were wearing black combat uniforms made of unknown materials, with complete weapons that were almost armed to the teeth. Everyone was carrying a towering aura when a man with a slightly different mask from the others approached Su Chuan. He stood still and raised his hand, bowing, "Commander Long, there should have been 90 people, but actually 90 people. Please review." After he finished speaking, Su Chuan nodded and said, "What's your name?" "Report to the commander, the captain of the Dragon Group's first team, Long Chen." After listening, Su Chuan said, "Okay, from now on, you can lead the Dragon Group to protect my safety." "Thank you for the commander's trust, I will definitely live up to my expectations," said Long Chen with a glimmer of light in his eyes after listening. Long Chen and his companions, although summoned by the system, are also living beings with 7 emotions and 6 desires. After Long Chen returned to the team, Su Chuan couldn't bear the urge to pretend anymore. He spoke to the members of the Dragon Group. "So you can accompany me to shoot a video first, and I will invite some people to practice with you, which will also give me a clear understanding of your strength." Su Chuan used a walkie-talkie to call in 300 combat personnel. These 300 were purchased from the system mall by Su Chuan, who felt that 60 people lacked a sense of security and used the remaining 300 plus manufacturing value. Don't underestimate ordinary combatants, they are all elites among the elite, except for their skills, and not many special forces, so they can almost rival ordinary special forces. And there was no objection from the Dragon Group. Su Chuan sent 300 ordinary fighters to the primitive forest in the west of the island and gave them a box, which contained nothing. And the purpose of this box is that when the Dragon team obtains the box within the specified time or completely annihilates these 300 people, it is the Dragon team's victory. If they do not obtain it within the specified time or are completely annihilated, it is a failure. And the Dragon Group can only participate in 4 small teams with 36 people, otherwise no more than 300 people are enough for them to abuse. These 36 people need to take a transport plane to the airport and land in the primitive forest. Su Chuan had already released a large number of drones to monitor the entire forest before the 36 members of the Dragon Group boarded the plane. 1 hour later, the battle ended, and as expected, the Dragon Group won. The entire 300 ordinary fighters were completely annihilated without seeing a single figure. And Su Chuan also filmed the entire process. After returning to the military factory, Su Chuan let Long Chen arrange it on his own and called on Li Peng to give him the production drawings of the Phoenix fighter jet, while he himself returned to the office to start editing. An hour later, Su Chuan edited the video and uploaded it to his Weibo account. He now has nearly 1 million followers on Weibo, thanks to the video he posted. After Su Chuan posted the second video, many people on Weibo who followed Su Chuan's first video received a message stating that the "Nyo by Lie offline slaying me" you followed has been updated. Someone clicked into the video one after another, and the title was Welcome special forces from all over the world to challenge our dragon group.